The Maine Penny. In the fall of 1956, Guy Melgren and Ed Rung, a pair of amateur archaeologists, were invited by a man named Goddard to explore his property in Maine, USA. There, on a natural terrace, they found some insignificant artifacts. But in the second year of excavation, they discovered a coin that became America's most famous coin. The discovery reignited the centuries-old fantasy of European discovery of Americas centuries before Columbus. For 2 decades, based on an analysis by an expert, Melgren described it as a coin minted in 12th century England. The claim didn't raise eyebrows until, in 1978, a regional bulletin published a picture of the coin and an article titled, "Were the English the First to Discover America?" But after a London-based expert examined the coin's picture, he debunked the claim that the coin was English. Then on February 6, 1979, Kolbjorn Skar, a Norwegian numismatist, walked into the Maine State Museum to see the coin. Skara saw a dark gray fragmentary piece and an animal-like figure in a rather barbarous design, with a curved throat and hair like a horse's mane. His conclusion: it was an authentic Norwegian penny from the second half of the 11th century. The discovery sent shockwaves among scholars as to what a Viking coin was doing in Maine. Were the Vikings ever in America? The first suspect was Melgren himself. In a 2003 article, Edmund Carter, an anthropologist, stated that 1957, the year Melgren found the coin, was a bumper year for Viking fakes. According to Carter, Melgren may have planted the coin himself for self-projection. In reality, though, Melgren had paid no particular attention to the coin for the best part of 2 decades since his discovery and didn't even seek financial compensation or seek publicity. Moreover, a spectroscopy test demonstrated that the coin lay in a horizontal position for a very long time. The corrosion on the coin was consistent with water trickling down around the metal over time, with other signs of it having been buried for centuries. What thickens the mystery further is the fact that no other Viking artifact was ever found in Maine. After identification of the coin as Viking, a team of archaeologists visited the site to look for answers. The site instead threw up further surprises. While no other Viking artifacts were found, numerous arrowheads, pottery sherds, and stones were discovered that originated way up in Northeast America. The question arose, what was happening in that spot at that point in time? Was 12th century Maine a site of a pre-Columbus trade fair for northeastern coastal America? It appears rather than solving the mystery of how it got there, the Maine coin instead became a clue in a wider mystery. The Coventry Cubes. In May 2020, Will Reed and his sons were mystified when, while magnet fishing, they dredged up 60 ornate cubes with their hands in a river in Coventry, England. Reed and his sons thought the cubes, that were small enough to hold between finger and thumb, were debris that was littering the bottom of the river. But they were puzzled when, upon close inspection, they saw that the faces of the objects were set into neat grids with incomprehensible inscriptions carved between the grids. Though the cubes weren't dated, they undoubtedly looked ancient. Curious, Reed posted the images on Facebook to find out what they might be. As they found out, the inscribed objects were most likely ancient Hindu mystical numerological diagrams used to channel cosmic power and keep the forces of destructive astrological and supernatural forces at bay. The mysterious lead cubes were thought to show a sacred Sanskrit numerical inscription and represented an ancient Hindu practice of incantations for prayers which take effect when they are thrown in running water. While giving a detailed explanation of the numerical system shown on the objects, researcher Mr. Rajopadhyay at Delhi Institute in Indore, India, explained that these cubes were called Rahu Yantra. Rahu is a shadow planet in ancient Hindu astrology, known for its negative effects, and yantras are mystical diagrams that are great cosmic conductors of energy, like an antenna of nature. The eyes and mind concentrate on the center of the yantra to achieve higher levels of consciousness. According to ancient Hindu astrology, Rahu yantras were made of lead or copper. Yantras were made either in square or rectangle form and were engraved with auspicious numbers, whose sum total would come to 36 while counted horizontally or vertically, making it auspicious, and thus enabling them to counter any malevolent forces. Mr. Rajopadhyay states that Rahu is considered a shadow planet, which exerts a godlike influence. While every planet has a visual and physical existence, the Rahu does not have any physical shape. Lead is linked with one side of the moon's orbit known as Rahu, and its color is gray. Rahu has been popularly known for its malefic effect and has always been associated with laziness, delays in work, and obstacles, as per Mr. Rajopadhyay. He said, the Sanskrit syllables inscribed on yantras were essentially thought forms representing divinities or cosmic powers, which exerted their influence by means of sound vibration. Hence, it was important for them to be placed in a water body for the incantation to take effect. In essence, the cubes were used to protect worshippers from the ill effects of the planet Rahu on their lives. This explanation, though, resolves only one part of the mystery. The riddle of how the cubes ended up on a riverbed in a city thousands of miles from India has captured the imaginations of people ever since. The Taxic Head in Mexico. Whilst excavating a burial site within the Matlatzinca city of Taxic, now called Calixtlahuaca, in 1933, researcher José García Payon discovered what appeared to be a Roman figurine head. The Roman bust was found amongst a cache of offerings, including gold, turquoise, crystal, and pottery, buried 3 floors beneath a sacred pyramidal structure. But paradoxically, the burial site, which appeared undisturbed, was dated between 1476 and 1510 AD. This meant the figurine predated the Spanish conquest of the Americas, which didn't reach the shores of Mexico until 1519. An alleged Roman figurine in an Aztec tomb was an anomaly, to say the least. In 1995, the head was sent to Germany for scientific thermoluminescence testing. Bernard Andreae of the German Institute of Archaeology in Rome called the figurine without any doubt Roman and put its production date to 2nd century BC, which proved it was much older than the grave it was found within. How a 2nd century Roman artifact found its way to a 15th century untouched tomb is a mystery that has baffled scholars since then. If the head is indeed an authentic Roman figurine, the most convenient answer on how it found its way into the grave would be that it was planted. The claim, though, has never been substantiated. But if it wasn't a hoax, then some experts suggest that perhaps the figurine was introduced at the time of the burial and before the arrival of Europeans on the mainland. This is possible, because although the conquistadors did not reach the Mexican mainland until 1519, the nearby islands of the Caribbean had been colonized since the late 15th century. So it is possible that the piece was brought from Europe to the Caribbean in the late 15th century, and then the piece may have traveled via trade networks all the way to Calixtlahuaca. Whilst this could possibly explain how a small Roman bust could have found its way to the burial site, it doesn't explain why a Spanish explorer would take a small 2nd century Roman head with them to trade, and why an Aztec nobleman would choose it to accompany them in their tomb. Some experts opine that although the figurine looks like a 2nd century Roman sculpture, there are plenty of pieces of Mesoamerican artwork that feature European or Persian-looking bearded men and were highly revered. The ancient Olmec civilization in Mexico were particularly keen at creating foreign-looking figurines. Case in point, the huge African-looking Olmec heads they created. The question then rests on whether the head was manufactured by Romans or whether it just looks Roman and was actually the imaginative work of a Mesoamerican artist. Or lastly, the discovery of the Roman head is strong evidence of ancient European discovery of the Americas before Columbus. The jury on the subject is still out there. The Baghdad Batteries. A clay pot capable of producing an electric current is usually not a big deal, unless that clay pot was built 2,000 years ago in a place not quite known for such technology. This is exactly the story of the Baghdad Battery. In 1938, during excavations in a town near Baghdad in Iraq, a German archaeologist found a clay pot about 5 inches high with a copper cylinder and an iron rod encased inside it held in place by an asphalt plug. The discovery sent the academic world into a frenzy after they found out what it did. According to the scientists who examined the clay pot and its contents, the artifact was capable of producing an electric current. The town where it was dug out from was built 2,000 years ago, during the Parthian period 250 BCE to 224 CE. The copper wire seemed to be corroded due to some substance like vinegar or wine, which must have been used to work the battery. The researchers concluded that this ancient battery could remarkably produce electric current of approximately 2 volts. But while we do understand that this pot was some sort of a battery from 200 BC, what it was used for has been nothing but assumptions by researchers. Close to a century after its discovery, the Baghdad Battery is still an enigma. The Parthians, who were the people who lived around that era, were known for their expertise in warfare, but not for any scientific inventions. So according to experts, the object is totally out of place. The question is, how did the ancient Persians acquire the scientific knowledge to produce electricity? And what would a clay pot producing 2 volts of electricity be possibly used for? One interesting theory is that it could have been used as a painkiller. In ancient Greece, electric fish were used to ease pain by applying them to the soles of the feet of the patient. But in this case, the current of the pot was too low to work for this purpose. Another interesting version is that the pot was allegedly put inside a statue of an ancient god, and when people came for worship and touched it, they felt a tingling sensation or saw a slight glow. The worshippers would never know about the clay pot inside and may have thought the idol was alive, or it could simply have been used to coat jewelry or gilding metal with silver or gold. But then again, nothing gilded has been found from the era or time of the artifact. So what is this mysterious object, and what was it used for at a time when no one had the knowledge to invent something like this? Right now, it sits in the Baghdad Museum, waiting for its mystery to be solved. The Antikythera device. In 1900, Greek divers from the eastern Mediterranean island of Symi were searching for natural sponges when they chanced upon a shipwreck full of Greek treasures. Among the objects was a bronze precision gear wheels, the size of coins. According to historical knowledge available of the time, gears like these should not have appeared in ancient Greece, or anywhere else in the world, until many centuries after the shipwreck. The find generated huge controversy. So what was this object? Antikythera Mechanism, as it is known today, is believed to be an ancient Greek astronomical device that has been called an ancient computer and has been hailed as one of the most important archaeological finds of the 20th century. It is a complex system of gears and cogs that is believed to have been used to predict astronomical events, such as eclipses and the movements of the planets. The device was constructed in the 2nd century BC, and it is believed to have been built by a team of skilled craftsmen and engineers. The mechanism was housed in a wooden case and consisted of a series of dials and pointers that could be adjusted to track the positions of the sun, moon, and planets. The device was powered by a hand-cranked mechanism, and remarkably, it was capable of accurately predicting astronomical events for several decades into the future. The device was an incredibly advanced piece of technology for its time, and it is still considered to be a marvel of engineering. The device was able to accurately predict the movements of celestial bodies in a way that was not possible with existing astronomical tools of the time. The Antikythera Mechanism is a fascinating artifact that has left many questions unanswered. Who made it? It is believed that the device was constructed by a team of skilled craftsmen and engineers in the Greek city of Corinth or on the island of Rhodes. However, despite many years of research, no one has been able to identify the individuals or group responsible for creating such a sophisticated machine. How they developed the technology is another puzzle that has still not been resolved, since it is an extremely complex machinery that is considered far ahead of its time. Today, the Antikythera Mechanism is considered to be one of the most important archaeological finds of all time. The device has provided us with a window into the world of ancient Greek technology and astronomy, and it has shown us that the Greeks were far more advanced than we previously imagined. From ancient computers to mysterious objects, these out-of-place artifacts offer tantalizing glimpses into the ingenuity and imagination of our ancestors. As we continue to unravel their stories, we gain new perspectives on the rich tapestry of human history. To continue your ancient adventures, please subscribe to our channel and press the notification button. Till the next time, this is Ancient Secrets.